Hello, everybody. Welcome to 2022. I am Michael Hoffman, and I am thrilled that you are joining us here for the OSINT Curious live stream. With me, of course, is my wonderful guest, Technisette. Hi, Technisette.
Hi everyone, I'm very happy to be here and I'm looking forward to today's stream.
Yeah, it's going to be good. Our first one, I know that many of you have been missing our live streams. You've been hitting us up on Discord or sending us tweets saying, when are they coming back? We've had some things that we wanted to do and make sure that we got right before we just jumped back into continuing these streams. But it's 2022 and we're going to start them once again. And this is a great kickoff live stream. Technisette here is going to walk us through one of the blogs that she wrote up for the OSINT Curious project. But before we get to that, let's just take care of a couple of administrative items. As you can see, scrolling across the bottom of our screen, for those of you that are maybe new to the OSINT Curious project, is all of the details that you need to connect with us, whether it's through our social media or whether it's becoming a Patreon patron and sponsoring us, or whether it's just subscribing to our channel. Also, starting out right down there below, you see the URL to our website. You're going to need that at some point to get to the blog post that Technisette wrote. Today, for those of you that are more long-term watchers, we are going to just focus on the blog post, walking through it. We're not doing any of that fun GeoGuessr stuff. We're going to do that in another live stream later on in the month. So I'm sorry if you came here for the GeoGuessr. Stay for Technisette. Tech,
Yay!
how's your coming along?
I'm sorry, what did you say?
How is your 2022 coming along?
It's coming along quite well. It's been hectic and very busy at work, but I love it because that means I'm doing a lot of OSINT work, which I really like. So
Yeah.
I'm pretty happy. How's yours?
Mine was good. I took off a little bit of time, spent some time with the family, which is always good. And now I'm just getting back into it 110%. Of course, catching up on a lot of the things that happened in December and all, like your blog post. So I'm really thrilled that
Absolutely,
you're going to be able
yes.
to go through it with us here. For those of you that are unfamiliar with the live stream format, there's comments that you can enter in on Twitch, on YouTube, or on LinkedIn. Those are where we're going live right now. Feel free to enter in your comments or your questions for Technisette as we go through the live stream. All right, cool. So Technisette, why don't we go ahead and get started here? And for those of you that don't have the live stream URL, I'm going to paste that into the chat right now. Now,
Awesome.
we can't send it to the LinkedIn for some reason. So if you are on the LinkedIn platform, just go to our osintcurio.us. Actually, let me just go ahead and put this in a banner for you. There we go. Hang on. There we go. This is the actual link to our blog post that we're going to be going through. Of course, if you go to our OSINT Curious page, which you see on the screen, and you just click on the very first one here, viewing social media profiles without being logged on, that's what we're going through. Okay. All right. So Technisette, what was the reason why you thought that this blog might be useful to the community?
Well, there were a couple of reasons. One of them was that at my work, I was in contact with a group of people that were not allowed to do any open source investigations with using a social media platform, social media profile, sorry. So they were asking me for tips and techniques on how to, well, get around all of the verifications and all of the banners that ask you to log on to the website. And another part was that people were hitting me up on Twitter asking me what good techniques would be to get around Facebook. So they were not allowed to use Facebook in order to log in and do their searches on. So they were wondering if there were any possible techniques to, how do you say it, work around it.
Okay.
So that were actually the two main reasons why I wrote the blog.
Excellent. Well, let's get
Yeah,
into it.
great. Well,
So
I think
this is the
Facebook
blog.
is up first.
Okay. Yep. Here's Facebook.
Yes. So, one of my favorite ways to actually look at Facebook profiles without being logged on is using archive.today. Their top level domain changes quite often, but archive.today actually always works. Sometimes it's archive.is, but archive.today often works and gets you to the right page. So this is a little bit different than archive.org. So archive.org, also known as the Wayback Machine, is probably one of the most familiar archive websites there is out there. They have saved billions of pages. I think they're doing this since 1996 or
Yeah, it's
something,
been a
like at
while.
the very beginning of the internet. But one thing they are lacking in is archiving social media profiles in a good and complete order. And one of the things why they're lacking at this is because in their crawler, which they are using to crawl all of the websites for their archive, is that there is no logged in profile on any of the social media platforms when they're archiving all of that content. So what happens when when you're going to a social media platform that requires a login in order for you to see content, they will not archive that content since there is no profile logged in built into their web crawler.
So essentially, they're not using sock puppet accounts when they
Yes.
visit a page. They're just visiting it in whatever archive.org, whatever they see publicly is what
Yes.
you get. Okay.
And that's often what you can already see. So it's not really beneficial to use archive.org for the purpose of viewing any social media platforms without being logged in. Of course, they do archive quite a bit on famous people. So
Okay.
whenever a page has a certain famous status, so it can either be like a celebrity worldwide known, but it can also be like a page that's only popular, for example, in the Netherlands. Um, they will archive most of the content that can be viewed without a profile, but you're still missing some of the things. And
Yeah.
Archive Today has a multiple sock puppets built into their crawler. So whenever you're sending a request to archive.today or archive.is to ask them if they can archive a profile, there is a very high chance you're getting a perfectly crawled first page glimpse of a Facebook profile, which is great because if you don't have the opportunity to look at the profile, this could be your way in.
Yeah.
But there's a little downside to it is that it can take quite a while for it to get into the archive. So
Yeah.
you have to be a little bit patient.
Yep.
And a
Yeah.
good thing to notice about archive.today or archive.is is that when you first see their page, when you're visiting the archive, it has a very big red box at the top. And without reading what's there, you might be drawn into the top box to enter the URL. This is meant for archiving the profile. So if you want to archive the profile, that's fine. You can put it up there in the red box. But if you want to know if your archiving is ready, you have to put it in a blue box, which is a little bit further down.
Okay.
So that's good to know. And if you're just curious how to see how like what the results are, how does a archived Facebook page or Instagram page look like, you can go to the blue box, which is the second box on the page of archive.today or archive.is, and type in instagram.com/asterisk, so the little star, and you can see all of the pages that are archived that start with instagram.com/ anything that comes next. So you can get a little bit of a glimpse how it looks and if it satisfies your needs.
Nice.
So that's
Nice.
fun.
So
It works
so
quite
that's
well.
archive.today versus archive.org, and using a third party like this to download and view somebody's profile, there's risk behind that, right? I mean, aren't there goals to archive and keep that data? So once you do this and you view that Facebook profile, that's actually captured on archive.is, right?
Absolutely, yes. So it will remain captured, and I'm not quite sure how they are dealing with the requests to delete information, for example.
Yeah.
but it will be there.
Okay.
And I must give a little bit of credit to Bellingcat for this tip because I followed their course once, and this was one of the tips they shared with us, and I was like, "Wow, this is really beneficial. This
Yeah.
really is very nice feature that they offer." So
Yep.
credits to Bellingcat for this.
All right. And one other thing about that, for a number of months last year, archive.is turned off this feature and Facebook data was not available through archive.is or archive.today. So when we lose that functionality, just keep checking back because sometimes it comes back
Yes,
like it has here. Cool.
it
So
was
search
gone for a
engine.
while.
What's next in here? We got search engines.
Yes, we got search engines. So, what if you want to search on Facebook because you want to know if your target is there, or he or she has a profile, or maybe the company you're interested in has a profile? Then I would really recommend using search operators, for example, in Google, site colon facebook.com or in URL facebook.com in order to see if you can like kind of access the Facebook search engine to see what kind of results can be in there. You do have to keep in mind that it's a privacy setting for a Facebook owner of a profile, of course, where you can change your privacy settings if you do want to be included in the search results of any public search engine.
Okay.
So even though you're searching there and you don't find your target's profile, it's not completely outruled that there is no profile. It can still be there, although you do have to log in and do the search on Facebook itself.
Do you know if that's on or off by default? I opt
Off by
in.
default.
Off by
So
default.
yes, so you have to turn it off yourself in order to be excluded in the results.
So it's off, it's on by default. You are automatically in the Google search results?
Yes. Oh, sorry.
Okay.
Sorry. You are automatically included in the Google search results. And if you want to turn it off, you have to do this by hand. So you have to do
Alright.
this yourself.
Well, that's helpful for us, but terrible for privacy, right?
Absolutely.
Okay.
But again, a lot of things in Facebook are awesome for us to
Yeah,
use, but terrible for privacy. Yeah.
yeah.
It's
Alright,
kind of
so
a
and
balance
you
you have to like you
You
have to
told me
balance
one
between the
time
worlds.
a while ago that sometimes using third-party search engines like Google and Baidu and Yandex to look at the data that's on some of these social media platforms is beneficial because sometimes the search engines organize data, index data a lot more efficiently. I think it was with the next one with Instagram. You said, go to Google first because Google sometimes has a better access to some of the public Instagram data. Is that still the case now or
I believe so.
okay,
So, first of all, Instagram started out as a mobile platform only. Only when they were taken over by Facebook, they got more accessible by their website. So, first of all, it was mobile only. And you can still see traces of this because the mobile app has a friendlier search than the website does.
okay,
Although more and more functionalities from the mobile app are transferring to the website. So you can now view your inbox, your private inbox there. Search has become a little bit better. Still, the mobile version is quite good to search on compared to the website, but it's getting there.
okay.
But there are a lot of third parties who actually use the API of Instagram in order to get all of the data from Instagram on their website. And they have created all kinds of things to search through Instagram. For example, search my.bio. I think that's the right URL. I'm not completely sure. But
Mhm.
you have the opportunity to search people's bios, which is the little bit of the little line of text displayed on somebody's profile, which shares a little bit of information about their self, maybe where they live, or maybe hobbies, or, for example, other handles on other social media platforms. And if I would be searching by somebody's, for example, Snapchat handle on Instagram, I will not find anything. But using a website like Search My Bio, searching for that Snapchat handle might give me the result of a Instagram profile matching that handle.
Okay.
So there are loads and loads of websites. I'm not quite sure if Pikyuki,
Pikuki?
if it's still working. Could you
I don't
check?
know. Let me try. Yep, it is.
Cool. It's not showing in the screen though. That's correct?
No, it's not showing it.
Okay.
I just have this one tab shared.
Okay,
Um,
great.
yep. But
So
yeah, it does work. And there's other sites like that too that scrape the public Instagram profiles.
absolutely, there are
Now,
tons out there, but I must say I do like Pikyuki because it had other previous names. My guess is that they're changing their names because they're maybe getting claims from Meta or Instagram, Facebook,
yeah,
whatever,
yeah.
about the fact that they're misusing their data for some reason.
Okay.
But for example, they give the opportunity to search for hashtags, for users, but also the opportunity to search for multiple hashtags. Because if you're searching in Instagram itself, you only have the opportunity to search for one hashtag only. So let's say you're monitoring a, a situation somewhere foreign where you're not very familiar, and you see that all of the people who are demonstrating are all posting or processing, sorry, are all posting two hashtags that are very relevant for the situation there. And using third party websites give you the opportunity to search for those two hashtags, and Instagram doesn't give you the opportunity. So that's great.
Right. So if you have a popular hashtag that one person is using, you search on just that, you're going to get way too many things. But those two
Yes.
hashtags or more hashtags that are in combination, those will give you more accurate results. Okay,
Absolutely.
great.
And of course, those websites also give you the opportunity to view somebody's profile, to download stories anonymously, so you don't leave any kind of trace. For those of you who are not very well familiar with Facebook, the Instagram stories, where you have that colored circle around their profile picture, indicates that they're having content available for you within a time limit of a maximum of 24 hours. Whenever you viewing those stories, the poster of the story can see whoever viewed their content, which means you are exposed as your sock puppet or as your private account or whatever. If you want to do this anonymously, a website like storiesdown.com is the opportunity to view those stories anonymously. So, again, still no profile needed in order to view content on Instagram, and actually have quite good search engines available as well.
Okay.
And again, archive.is or archive.today is a great feature to archive your Instagram profiles.
I'm sensing a trend here with archive.is, archive.today, archive.org. We're back to search engines here. I'm
Yep,
seeing
yep.
that again. Yep. Okay.
Absolutely. Of course, if you are restricted to, I don't know, maybe your employee restricts you from looking at certain websites, but is allowing you to use search engines like Google, then of course you can use all kinds of Google search operators in order to see if your target might still be on Instagram or not.
Okay. Excellent. You want to move on to LinkedIn?
Yeah,
Awesome. Now, this is a fun one. I love teaching people about this. And
I
I know
love
that
this
one day
too.
this technique is going to go away, but until then, yeah, I know. We shouldn't be
Fingers
live streaming
crossed.
about
Fingers
it.
crossed. We
I
shouldn't be
know.
talking about this, but hey, the video on YouTube has been there for quite a while. So
That's true.
I love this technique too. So Dutch OSINT guy, one of our members of the OSINT Curious project, he actually made a 10-minute video that I didn't even want to spend any letters writing how to do this because the video explains it all. So in short, if you ever open up a LinkedIn profile, which you maybe found on Google, for example, and you immediately get the banner saying, hey, you need to be logged in order to see any content. So you're not seeing anything at all, just immediately the banner. Then there is a method for you to still view information on that person's profile. It's not the complete profile, but it's a lot of information that can be seen. Of course, if that person has shared any information on their profile, of course. But hey, you can see a profile picture, you can see their part of their resume. Maybe they've described a bio. Often you can see the 3 latest activities that they have done publicly. it's a great technique in order to still view some of the information. But I think we
Absolutely.
need to not explain this too deep because this can be a good cliffhanger for people to view the blog and to read
Yeah.
and view what it's all about.
Absolutely. And just for those of you that are just joining us, we're kind of about 20 minutes in here. I've just pasted the URL that we're looking at. We're reviewing the a blog post that Technisette wrote for us on the OSINT Curious Project's webpage. And it talks about all of the different ways that you can grab OSINT data from different social media platforms without actually having to create a research account, a sock puppet, or some other type of alternative identity on those sites. So for those of you that it's really challenging to create those, maybe because you need a national ID for a SIM card and you can't get a phone number that's not your own, or because it's illegal to create these research accounts in your country. This blog post has these wonderful links to all of these other resources. All right, so Technisette suggests that everybody watch this video from Nico. I do too. It's great. There's one twist that I like doing. I'm not sure if Nico covered it here. Um, Essentially, you work through the process. Google grabs the HTML source code from LinkedIn or other web pages, and then it will give you that HTML source code. Now, here you see that it says copy the HTML and view it in Code Beautifier's HTML viewer. That you paste the HTML into this third-party website, it executes it and then renders it on your screen, and you're looking at the web page. For me, I'd rather not take that HTML and give it to somebody else. I just create a text file on my computer, call it linkedin.html, and then paste that HTML that Google has given me into that file, save it, and then look at it in my web browser. That file is locally on my system. And one thing for you to know, and Technisette, I'm pretty sure you know this too. When you have that HTML that's either saved on your system in that file I just talked about, or being rendered through the HTML in the Code Beautify site, that HTML is being loaded from one of those two places. But all of the resources that you're seeing, the images, the fonts, and other things, are most likely coming directly from LinkedIn. So don't think of this as a 100% offline way of viewing things. Your browser will be loading whatever resources from that site, but hopefully you won't be logged into LinkedIn, so there's no connection there, and those resources will just be able to be gathered publicly from you. So just a little bit of warning there. All right,
Oh, good
anything
tip.
more on LinkedIn?
No, I think that's about it. If there are any questions, by the way, from the people who are viewing, please feel free to put them in the comment box and we can answer them live.
Yeah. All right, what's Snapchat?
Snapchat. So, Snapchat has been, well, one of the platforms I've seen a lot of recently. Like, a lot of people are still using the platform, even though Instagram has taken some of the features that Snapchat offers and implemented them in Instagram itself. Snapchat is still a very, very popular app for people to use to communicate on. And the thing about Snapchat is it's actually not being bought by any other big media company out there. Like Microsoft bought LinkedIn, like Facebook bought Instagram and WhatsApp. So Snapchat is still flying on their own, like with the original people who have founded Snapchat. Snapchat was intentionally only meant for mobile use only. And this is something we can still see today. So the website, whenever you're visiting snapchat.com, is not showing you any user generated content data or not giving you the information about any of the profiles. If they're showing anything, it's often not everything you can view about somebody's profile. So my recommendation is whenever you're looking into Snapchat and you're not allowed to create a profile, maybe find a way around it to still create a profile, stay within your legal boundaries, but it's just the best way to search and to view information out there.
Okay.
Although Snapchat has a higher risk of compromise compared to all of the other platforms. So whenever you're viewing content on Snapchat, the poster or the creator of that post will always see you viewed that post. Only when there are 200 people or more who have viewed the post, then the original creator of the post can only see a number of people have viewed his or her post instead of all of the usernames and all of the profile pictures.
So Snapchat, you would say, is probably one of the more important social media platforms for you to create a research account on. I know that this live stream is not about creating sock puppets and creating those research accounts, but I'm sensing that the disclosure of who's looking at what content is very high here on Snapchat.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And the only way, if you do have a username, let's say you found a Snapchat username or a Snapchat handle, let's say on Instagram, and you want to know if this profile still exists or if it's there, there's one way only in your browser to check if the profile is created or not. If you go to snapchat.com/ad/paste the username, you can see the snap code, which is similar to a QR code, but this can only be scanned within the Snapchat mobile app. So you have to scan that specific code in order to see the profile or the promotion, or it can be a filter that has been commercially advertised wherever. And if the snap code, you can see DJ Khaled's snap code there, it only has the little ghost silhouette, which is an how do you say that, an identification that it's Snapchat.
Hmm.
If you see the snap code, but it doesn't have the little ghost silhouette, but it has a Bitmoji, for example,
Okay.
and a Bitmoji is a cartoonesque version of yourself, which you can create yourself as well. So it looks a little bit more like a cartoon version. If you see either a Bitmoji in there or an actual photo, you know the profile actually exists.
Okay.
There's only one flaw to be very cautious about. Whenever you're testing this URL, snapchat.com/ad/paste the username, any kind of name you're pasting behind the ad forward slash will give a result. So even though profiles that really do not exist also generate a snap code. So only
Mm,
when the Snapchat code is filled in the middle, so it has a
okay.
Bitmoji or a photo, you're 100% guaranteed that that profile actually exists.
Okay.
So that's
All right.
good to be aware about.
That is absolutely good. There's a question over here that I wanted to just throw on here is just a little diving a little bit deeper about the why Snapchat is more risky to use without a sock puppet or research account. Um, do you know the details for that? Adriano asks from LinkedIn.
Well, it has to do with the fact that whenever you're viewing somebody else's content, the poster of or the creator of the post will always be notified by that fact.
Okay.
Also, if you're viewing the content thinking you're anonymously, because nowhere on Snapchat they are telling you, hey, whenever you're viewing all of this content on Snapchat, we're telling the creator that you have viewed their content. Snapchat is not telling you that. So if you're not aware of this fact and you're very oblivious going online on Snapchat, this will be your risk of compromise. And especially making screenshots. So when you're making a screenshot of a snap, which is like a couple of seconds video fragment, which you can see, you will not see a notification of the fact that you have alarmed the owner that you've took a screenshot, because they will be notified by the fact that you took a screenshot as well. In a private chat, although, you do get to see, hey, people have viewed your content. If you take a screenshot, it will be notified in the screen as well.
Okay.
So it has a lot to do with ooh, I'm thinking if there's a right word for it, but I cannot think about it in English.
Okay.
It's like there's a very big, like big brother feeling there. Like everybody is watching everybody. Everybody knows who is watching their content. Of course, if it's below the number of 200 views, of course. Um, but it's very well, the risk of compromise is just compared to other profiles platforms. It's just very high.
Okay.
So I think it's and a way to mitigate this. There's not really a way to mitigate this because if you want to safely view people's content, you just have to build a very good sock puppet in order for you to not be notified by the person who has created a profile.
So they'll still be notified, or they'll still see that John Doe has
Yes.
watched their profile, but they'll think, "Oh, this is just some fan or something like that, just some
Yeah.
random person." Let me ask you this before we move on to TikTok. We've seen in the previous couple of entries how using search engines and using archiving sites can be an effective way of accessing that data. Is it the same here in Snapchat or not so much?
No, not so much because it's really app based only. So it's only on the mobile application.
Mm.
So we see that archive.today and archive.org are archive databases which are very good in archiving any web based content. So within a web browser, whenever it's within the mobile app, they don't do any of the archiving there.
Okay. All right.
I do see some of the suggestions about in Snapchat if you want to prevent, if you want to take a screenshot but you don't want to notify the people who have created the content. Of course, taking a second mobile phone or a video camera or a photo camera in order to capture the content seen on your mobile device can be one of the options in order to still capture any evidence.
Cool. Thank you. All right. What about TikTok?
Well, TikTok is actually very, very transparent. So you don't need to be logged in to view any of the profiles unless, of course, they're private. But any of
Okay.
the public profiles are publicly viewable. You will not get a bounce notification saying you need to log on in order to see any of the information, which is great.
Yeah.
Only the comments underneath a video are behind a login screen. So if you want to view the content, that's fine. If you want to read the comments, you need a profile. And unfortunately, I haven't found any workaround for that specifically. But
Okay.
often the people I work for are interested in the content, not always per se in the comments. So,
Okay. All right.
but if somebody else has a great idea in order to still view the comments without being logged on TikTok, I'd love to read it.
Yeah. I think one of the big distinguishing factors here, Technisette, is the openness of the platform versus the closedness. Snapchat is meant to be, person to person or mobile device
Yeah,
to mobile device. Facebook it you have to log into generally to get it, whereas Twitter and TikTok are open by default. They want the world to see these things. So
yep,
I think when we get to Twitter here, there's a whole bunch of ways to grab Twitter content without a sock puppet, unless you need certain
absolutely.
content, right?
Yes, unless you want to see the people who are following or followers of
Yep.
a Twitter profile, you do need to be logged on. Otherwise, it's pretty much out there, and there's a lot of information to be gathered. Even though profiles that might seem private, which is probably a whole nother blog topic to write and
Yeah.
talk about. But the Twitter search actually works quite well. You do not need to be logged on. There's a lot of content to be found as well. Yeah,
Yep.
you
Well,
pretty much
and
said it.
and
Yeah.
the thing I like about Twitter search is that there's that kind of advanced search directive type of operators like you'd see on Google. You mentioned already in previous part of this blog post about site colon or in URL colon. Well, in Twitter, that advanced search, once you run it one time and you say, "Hey, I want to see all the tweets from Technisette," you'll see in the search bar it'll say from colon Technisette. And you're like, oh, okay. Well, if it's from Technisette, maybe I can do a two colon web breach or whatever. And once you get the hang of what the terms are, you can be really powerful without a sock puppet account on Twitter.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And Twitter also is one of those platforms that's open. So very much like those public Instagram accounts that get scraped off of Instagram and data hosted other places. Some of the sites out there, third party sites, will scrape Twitter for you, and you don't have to use any sock puppet or research account. Again, depending upon the size of the account, like places like followerwonk.com will look at the followers of certain accounts and draw this really nice Venn diagram of who's connected to who, but only for accounts of certain size. If they have millions or tens of thousands of followers, it won't work.
No, that's true.
Now, Technisette, one of the things I saw in the chat over here is that somebody wanted to know about one of the platforms that's not named above, right? They were asking
Ooh.
about about
Telegram.
Telegram.
Yeah.
Yeah. So tell us, some of your general strategies for if a platform's not on here.
General strategies, and I have a couple of tips for Telegram specifically.
Okay, that'd be great.
So if your platform is not named in the blog we've wrote, there are a couple of things to think about. So first of all, know your search engines, know the operators you can use. We have suggested a couple of search operators above in the blog, and try to use them on the platform of your choice. So maybe either we haven't talked about Reddit, for example, maybe use it on Reddit, or maybe you have a local social media platform only relevant for the country or area you live in. Try to use those search operators to see what Google or any kind of search engine has indexed about your platform of choice. The other thing, of course, the archives. We've mentioned them already a couple of times during the webcast today and also in the blog, of course. It's a great way to see if there's anything to be viewed without being logged in. So that would be a great tip as well. Um, there was another writer who also wrote a great blog on how to do open source investigations on profiles where you are not allowed, for whatever reason, to log on and create a profile. Um, I would definitely recommend checking to see if the platform of your choice might be in that specific blog. I thought it was a her, but I'm not completely sure. Um, but it's just above the I want to profile header. Click on the here and you can find that specific blog there.
Okay.
So Telegram specifically.
Yeah.
So Telegram, for those of you who are not aware with the platform, is a communication app, which also can be used on a desktop or web-based version. It's kind of like WhatsApp, but not completely the same. You have the opportunity to have chats one-on-one, but there are also groups, and you have the opportunity to search for those groups. Then there are channels as well, which are similar to groups but have different settings. But I will not dive into that too deep now. So, whenever you're looking for people on Telegram, it's probably best to have a either mobile phone emulator or whatever to get yourself on Telegram using a mobile phone number, either disposable or your own, which might not be very helpful if you're doing open source research, of course. And you will have the opportunity to search for people by their username handle, for example. This will
Okay.
not be possible by going to a website. But if you're looking to see if you can find groups that are talking about a specific subject, and again, this has to be open groups only. So the private groups will not be indexed by Google, because that's where I'm heading. Using a search engine like Google, and then typing in the name site or the search operator, I'm sorry, site colon t.me / which is the shortened URL for Telegram. So it's t.me. And it gives you the opportunity to search for any URLs using this specific buildup of the URL. So searching for site colon t.me / and put in between quotations any kind of subject you're interested in. For example, cryptocurrencies, and you will get Google results of all of the URLs that are publicly available and, of course, indexed by Google, that are publicly available Telegram groups. And those groups are often to be viewed online via your browser as well. And you can still read everything that has been going on in the past, but you're not allowed to or able to participate.
Cool.
So that would probably be my suggestion. And of course, there are a couple of search engines that claim to have indexed Telegram quite well, and where you can search for either private and public channels. But I must say, I haven't been so very fond of those search engines. The results are not too complete. I've noticed that they're focusing on a specific kind of subject, for example, only cryptocurrencies, or I've seen that they're mostly focused, for example, on anything in the eastern side of Europe. So they're not including anything that might be US based, for example.
Okay.
So if you want to do any searching, I would start by trying to see what you can find using search engines. And if you're in the opportunity, sorry, to create a profile there, definitely do that and go and search on the platform itself.
Excellent.
Yep.
Thank you very much, Technisette. I see that we've got some people that are thanking you in the chat as well on the different
You're
platforms.
welcome.
And Technisette, you are one of the expert social media exploitation people that I know about. Will you be writing some more blogs for us in the future on OSINT Curious about social media platforms? And
Absolutely.
awesome,
Yes.
that is excellent. All right,
And of course, if there
anything
are
else?
any requests specifically about any kind of blog, feel free to let us know on Twitter or in the comments here, and I'll be happy to see if I can wrap my head around a good blog and publish it. Yeah.
That sounds great. And for those of you that are maybe new to the OSINT Curious project, I'll just throw this banner up one more time. Along the bottom, you see our OSINT Curious Discord. It's a wonderful community of people that are internationally located, and we talk about a whole bunch of things from social media intelligence, SOCMINT, to dark web, to process and procedures, image analysis, and more. So if you liked what you heard here and you want to continue the conversation, please consider taking our invite that's on the screen now and joining our free Discord server. It's like Slack, except a little bit different. And many of you are already there or are following us on the different platforms. And for that, we say thank you. Technizet, thank you so much for sharing your expertise with us.
You're
Really
welcome.
appreciate it. And
And thanks for everybody who watched.
yeah,
Thanks to all the viewers.
Yeah, thanks for making this a great first live stream of 2022. And for those of you that would like to learn or hear or see more, just let us know on LinkedIn or YouTube comments or on Twitch or on Twitter. You know where we are. Also, please watch our social media. We've got more of these live streams that we're just starting to plan, and we're going to start publishing real soon. All right. Well, I think that's it for now. Thank you very much for coming, everybody. And stay OSINT curious. You didn't say it,
Absolutely.
Technisette. You gotta say it.
Stay we have to say it together, right?
Okay, go ahead. You count down.
Okay. On like 3, 2, 1, and then we say it?
Okay, like 3, 2, 1, go.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead. You do it.
3, 2, 1.
Stay
Stay
OSINT
curious.
curious. Bye, everybody.
Bye.